I walked into that damn ballroom like a proud idiot, gift bag in one hand, tied just a little too tight, thinking I was doing something good, supporting my wife, Claire, at her office party. This big annual thing her real estate company throws at the end of every year. Lights everywhere, glasses clinking, women in heels I couldn't afford 5 years ago. I smiled at people as I stepped in, expecting someone, anyone, to wave me over. Instead, I got silence, stares. The kind where they glance at you, then at each other, then start whispering. One guy near the bar actually chuckled when he saw me. I walked past him, and I swear to God, I heard him say, "Isn't that the 1-minute man?" I stopped. My brain took a second to catch up. Did I hear that right? Before we go further, quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I turned my head slowly. He was smirking, drink in hand, talking to some woman in a tight red dress. They both laughed, not even quiet about it. I stood there like a dumbass, right in the middle of it all, trying to see if Claire had even noticed I was here. She was across the room, champagne flute in one hand, standing next to Ethan, her business partner, or whatever title he gave himself these days. He leaned in close, whispering something in her ear. She smiled, not the polite kind either, the kind she used to give me when I still meant something to her. She didn't even look my way. Not once. I moved toward her, ready to tap her shoulder, say something, anything to remind her I existed. But before I could get there, Ethan peeled off from her and intercepted me, like he'd been waiting. "Adam," he said with that fake-ass tone, "this is a private event for staff and partners. You weren't on the list." I blinked. "I'm her husband." He smiled like he was doing me a favor. "Still not on the list." Then he turned and waved over security like I was some drunk crashing the party. 2 guys in suits walked up, real firm types. "Sir, we're going to have to escort you out," one of them said, already motioning toward the door. I looked back at Claire. She still hadn't looked over, still sipping her drink, like I was just background noise. I didn't fight it. I didn't yell. I just walked out, holding the damn gift bag like a fool, listening to the snickers behind me. I stepped out into the cold, realizing something I should have seen years ago. I was an outsider in the empire I helped build. I got home still holding that damn gift bag. Set it on the kitchen counter like it mattered. My hands were shaking, not from the cold, rage, humiliation, the kind that burns slow, deep in your gut. The apartment was dead quiet, too clean, too perfect. I kicked off my shoes, loosened my tie, and sat on the couch, staring at the black screen of the TV. I didn't even turn on the lights, just sat in the dark. My phone lit up on the coffee table, 10 missed calls. Claire's name on 8 of them. A couple from Ethan. I let it ring again and again until it finally stopped. Then I opened my banking app. No hesitation. I went straight to the business account. Our holding company, the one we'd built together 10 years ago out of a rented office in Fresno. Back then, it was just the 2 of us, me working spreadsheets and investor decks while she ran showings on houses barely worth listing. We built that place brick by brick. I poured everything into it, my savings, my time, my sanity. I knew how every dollar flowed, where every signature sat. And now, that company was a machine. 80 million in assets, 5 satellite offices, a luxury home division, celebrity clients, all tied to both our names. Well, until she started phasing mine out. I stared at the accounts and didn't hesitate. I started freezing everything I could, blocked travel budgets, canceled event payments, put hard stops on recurring marketing deals. The assistant she flew to Palm Springs every other week, gone. Corporate card deactivated. My hands moved on muscle memory, passwords, approvals, digital keys. I built these systems. I locked them just as easily. Buzz, Ethan again, then Claire, then Ethan, Claire, over and over. I turned the phone face down. The only sound in the room was my typing. The financial servers were tied to our shared firm. Our agreement, filed 3 years ago, gave me joint authority over all outgoing payments. She probably forgot that detail. Ethan definitely didn't know. I opened the equity portal. My stake was huge. Claire had the flash, but I held the foundation. 48% of the company sat under my name. She had 52, sure, but the funding structure made mine the controlling share for anything related to cash flow or liquidation. That was always the plan. I was the one who'd found the initial investors. I was the one who put my name on the first 2 bank loans. I pulled up the disbursement forms. It took 6 clicks to initiate the withdrawal process. 82.4 million. It didn't even feel real. Another buzz. Claire again. This time, she texted, "Adam, please, we need to talk. This is a huge misunderstanding." A second later, Ethan followed. "Dude, you're being dramatic. Let's be adults." I stared at those words like they were written in puke. Adults? I got thrown out of my wife's office party like a side piece. They laughed in my face. I was a joke to them. Not anymore. I went back to the system, locked all user permissions, and cut access from every admin but my lawyer's firm. Then I took screenshots. Every form, every move, dated, time-stamped, archived. My phone buzzed again. This time, I powered it off. They could scream into the void for all I cared. My next move wasn't revenge. It was reclamation. I wasn't destroying her business. I was taking back what she thought she'd erased. I grabbed the gift bag on my way out, not sure why. Just didn't want to leave it sitting there, like some pathetic symbol of how stupid I'd been. The cold hit me hard. I didn't grab a coat. Still had my dress shirt half untucked, jacket wrinkled from where I'd been hunched over the computer. I didn't care. I needed out. Out of the silence, out of my own head. I started walking, no direction, just blocks and blocks of city noise, wind in my face, people laughing from patios, lights blinking over overpriced bars and restaurants. Every corner reminded me of her. Not the Claire I saw tonight, but the Claire from 10 years ago. The one who begged me to believe in her. The one who used to come home crying after open houses with no offers and agents who wouldn't take her seriously. I picked her up off that kitchen floor more times than I could count. I paid for her real estate license. I built her first website. I printed flyers, ran ads, made cold calls for leads, and networked my way into early investors when we had nothing but debt and ambition. She used to look at me like I was everything. Now, I'm the joke with the gift bag. I passed a couple walking hand in hand, young, laughing about something dumb, bumping shoulders. Then another pair, then a group of friends pouring out of a bar, drunk, happy, alive. I felt like I was watching life through glass, everyone else moving forward while I stood still. I ended up near the river, found an old park bench under a busted streetlight, sat down hard, gift bag still in hand. Wind cut through my shirt. I didn't care. I stared down at that bag like it was mocking me. Inside was a watch, custom engraved. Took me 3 weeks to get it made. To the woman who built an empire, couldn't have done it without you. My jaw clenched. I almost threw it into the river right then. But I didn't. I set it on my lap, stared at it, like maybe the answer was in the damn ribbon. How did I let it get this far? How did I go from building something with her to getting thrown out like I didn't matter? I pulled my phone out just to check the time. There it was. A single notification. Transaction complete. Financial freeze active. Administrative lock engaged. I stared at the screen, thumb frozen above it. That was it. No fireworks, no dramatic music. Just a dull little banner, quietly confirming that everything we'd built was now under my lock and key. I let out a slow breath I didn't know I was holding. I didn't smile, didn't cry either, just sat there in the cold, feeling the shift happen deep in my chest. This wasn't revenge. This wasn't power. It was the end of something, and the start of something else. I looked down at the gift again. Fingers brushed the edge of the ribbon. Leave it here, toss it, or keep it. As a reminder not of her, but of me. The version of me that gave everything and asked for nothing. I stood up slowly, bag still in hand, and started walking again. Not toward home, just forward. By the time I got back to the apartment, it was close to sunrise. I hadn't slept. My legs were sore, my throat dry, but I didn't care. I tossed the gift on the kitchen table and collapsed onto the couch, still fully dressed. I didn't even close the curtains. My phone was already buzzing again. Claire, Ethan, private numbers, the executive team line, they came nonstop. I didn't answer a single one. When I finally checked my email around 9 a.m., I saw what I expected. Chaos. Subject lines lit up my inbox like a damn siren. Urgent. Payment authorization blocked. Immediate attention required. Marketing contract hold. Investor backlash. Need explanation. Security breach? The last one made me laugh. That's what they thought this was? A breach? I clicked through them one by one. Claire hadn't told anyone about our arrangement. That's how sure she was. I'd never pull the trigger. She left my name on everything out of laziness and arrogance. Now it was all crashing down. I scrolled through dozens of panicked emails from her top managers, assistants, even one from a board member asking for a call to clarify Adam's involvement. My involvement? I was the backbone of that company. She just dressed it up and walked it around in heels. Phone buzzed again. Claire. I let it ring. Then came the text. Adam, we need to talk. Please. I didn't know it would go this far. Too far? You let your office fling throw me out like I was nothing. You stood there and watched. I deleted the text. No response, no explanation, not anymore. I spent the next few hours pulling records, copies of old bank statements, scanned contracts, emails from back when we had nothing. Times I co-signed loans so she could open satellite offices. Emails where I negotiated land deals while she was too burned out to think straight. I found the lease agreements I'd personally revised. The investor pitch decks I designed, the partnership paperwork filed under my name when she still didn't have credit. This wasn't bitterness, it was documentation. I was building a file. I opened a folder on my desktop. Full ownership validation, Claire Real Estate Holdings. Dragged every PDF into it. Everything had a date. Everything had my name. By noon, the buzzing had slowed. The panic was settling into confusion. They didn't know what the hell was happening. Claire had no answers for them, and Ethan, that idiot wouldn't even know where to start. I made myself a black coffee. No food, no appetite. Sat down at the dining table and stared at the mess of notes I'd written the night before. Arrows, scribbles, timelines. Then I picked up the phone and dialed my lawyer, Sean. He picked up on the second ring. Adam, I've been expecting your call. I want it locked down, I said. No wiggle room, full control, irrevocable. You freezing or pulling? Both. Short-term freeze, long-term withdrawal. I've got the proof. He didn't waste time. Email it all to me. I'll have documents ready by end of day. And Adam. Once this goes through, there's no walking it back. I'm not asking to walk it back. Silence. All right, he said. Let's do it right then. I ended the call and looked around the apartment. The place still smelled like her perfume. She hadn't lived here in months, but her presence stuck like residue. I stood up, grabbed every photo of us off the shelves, and shoved them into a drawer. This wasn't about rage anymore. It was about precision. I was finishing up a call with Sean when the buzzer went off. I already knew who it was. I didn't answer. Let the door buzz again. And again. 10 minutes later, there was a knock at my door. Hard, urgent, desperate. I opened it just long enough to let her in. Claire stepped through like she was walking out of a hurricane. Hair wild, makeup streaked, heels in her hand. She looked around the place like it was foreign to her. Jesus, Adam, she said, voice already cracking. What are you doing? You've had all day to figure that out. She dropped her shoes on the floor and walked past me like she still owned the place. I've been on the phone since morning. Do you know how much damage you've caused? I'm aware. She turned, frustrated. This isn't you. You don't do this. You're not vindictive. I crossed my arms. I'm not. I'm surgical. Claire walked closer, softening her voice. Look, I was wrong. I should have stopped Ethan. He pushed things too far. I let him get in my head. I didn't flinch. He didn't make you stand there and watch. He didn't make you laugh. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. You erased me, I said. From the company, from the story, from your life. That's not true. She looked almost insulted. You phased me out of every deal. You took credit for my work. You played house with your little golden boy while I kept everything running from the background. She stepped forward, hands up. I didn't mean for it to go that far. No? I asked. Then why'd you tell people I was just helping out in the early days? You remember saying that? Because I've got the transcript from your keynote in Miami last year. Not one mention of me. She dropped her hands, her voice breaking. I was trying to build something, Adam. You know how hard it is for women to get taken seriously. Don't twist this, I snapped. You didn't leave me out because you're a woman. You left me out because you thought you didn't need me anymore. She looked down at the floor, silent. I stepped past her, opened the folder on the table. I own the cash flow. I've got legal control of the books. And as of tomorrow, you don't have a vote on anything. You'll still have your name on the glass, but nothing behind it. She blinked like she didn't understand the words. I made the calls, Claire. You're out. No. Her voice went sharp, high. You can't do that. You can't just... I already did. She walked to me fast, eyes red. Please, Adam, we can fix this. I'll cut Ethan out. I'll clean it all up. I'll give you credit. Hell, I'll give you front page. Just don't do this. I shook my head. You think this is about credit? She didn't answer. This is about respect. You looked me in the eye and made me feel like a ghost. I built that company with you, and you made damn sure the world thought you did it alone. I was scared, she said, voice barely there. I didn't want to lose everything. You already did. I walked to the door and opened it, held it without a word. She stood there for a second, then grabbed her shoes and walked out. I shut the door behind her, quiet. No more begging, no more explanations. Just one step closer to done. I didn't sleep that night either. By the time morning hit, I was already dressed and halfway to Claire's office. This wasn't something I was going to handle over a call or email. Ethan needed to see my face. I walked straight past the receptionist, straight past the assistants pretending they didn't know who I was. The place was quieter than usual, tense, doors open, people whispering, no music playing like normal. Ethan's office was at the end of the hall, just like I remembered. Wide glass, modern desk, furniture he didn't pay for. He was leaned back in his chair, scrolling his phone like he didn't have a care in the world. He looked up. Wow, he said, smirking. Here to finish what you started? Gotta say, man, that was impressive. Freezing the whole operation like that? Didn't know you had it in you. I shut the door behind me. You're done here. He chuckled, still leaned back. Yeah, I figured that was coming. Look, let's not turn this into a pissing match. I know you're upset about the party. This has nothing to do with the party. Then what? Claire? He tilted his head. Because she told me everything last night. Said she apologized. Said she was trying to work it out with you. So, if you're here to... You're not listening, I cut in. This isn't about Claire. It's about the company. You're out. He stood up now, leaning on the desk. Says who? Says the guy with controlling interest and a legal team that already sent the paperwork. I stepped closer. Your contract's void. Your equity, bought out and reassigned. You don't even have door access anymore. He blinked. Bullshot. Call it. His jaw twitched. He grabbed his phone, tapped something fast, waited. A pause then. This can't be right. It's right, I said. You never had real skin in this game. Just charisma and an ego. You came in after the hard part was done, played the role, and thought that made you irreplaceable. He slammed the phone down. I brought in investors. I helped rebrand this place. You think any of that would have happened without me? I stared him down. Everything you claim credit for? I put in motion 5 years before you ever stepped foot in here. The branding firm. I hired them first. The investors? They're on my list. You just renamed things and took the pictures. He laughed, bitter now. No wonder Claire got tired of you. You're a walking spreadsheet. All logic, no fire. You think running a business is just balance sheets and contracts? No, I said calmly. It's loyalty. And you never had it. Ethan stepped around the desk, got close like he thought proximity was power. She was never going to choose you over me. You know that, right? I didn't move. She already lost everything. So did you. His jaw tightened. You think this is over? I opened the door. It was over the second I walked in. I didn't wait for a response, just turned and walked out. Back down the hallway I helped pay for. Past the faces now, pretending they hadn't watched me get humiliated just days ago. As I hit the elevator button, I felt it. Not pride, not anger, just clarity. Ethan was never the real problem. He was just a symptom. The disease was trust, or the lack of it. and I was done letting it rot me from the inside out. I was back at my apartment by noon, blazer slung over a chair, sleeves rolled up. The air was stale, the coffee cold. But none of that mattered. My laptop was open, folders spread across the table. I had work to finish. This part wasn't dramatic, just numbers, signatures, files, the final sweep. I went through every account, every outstanding contract, anything with Claire's name, Ethan's name, any exec who'd looked the other way. I stripped them from all permissions, cut ties with 3 consultants, flagged 2 shell LLCs that were siphoning money for branding campaigns. It was all right there, buried in plain sight. Sean called while I was cross-referencing vendor payments. "You're clear," he said. "Transfer of ownership is final. Your name's on every key document. Claire has 0 voting authority now." "What about the investors?" "I'm drafting the notice, but you should write your own message too. Direct, no fluff. Make it clear you're not playing games." I hung up and opened a blank email to the investor group. I didn't waste words. Effective immediately, I am assuming full operational and financial control of the company, previously known as Claire Real Estate Holdings. The current freeze is permanent. Reorganization will follow. This is not a dispute. This is ownership being reclaimed by the individual who funded, negotiated, and built the foundation of this company from day one. Thank you for your continued cooperation. No kind regards, no signature block, just the truth. I hit send. Then I sat back and looked around the room. The stack of old invoices, scanned contracts, business cards from 100 networking events, all of it laid out like evidence in a trial I'd already won. I opened the master folder labeled Transition Final Control and double-checked each file. Lock by lock, transfer by transfer, it was done. Claire's company, our company, was now mine, fully, legally, irrefutably. I expected to feel something more, maybe relief, maybe rage, maybe some twisted satisfaction. Instead, it was quiet. Not outside, not the apartment, inside me. Like all the noise had finally drained out and left a hollow echo. I stood up and walked to the window. Same view, same buildings, same sky. But something felt different. I wasn't tethered anymore. No more waiting on her texts, her explanations, her lies masked as logic. This company had been my life for a decade, but not once did I ever stop to ask what I wanted out of it. It was always about pushing Claire forward, carrying her name, shielding her when deals went south, or when nerves hit too hard before a big pitch. Now it was just me, and it didn't feel like victory. It felt like the ground under my feet had shifted, and I wasn't sure what direction was forward anymore. I turned away from the window and looked at the mess on the table. I could pack it up, archive it, burn it for all I cared. What mattered was done. The story I'd been written out of had just been rewritten in ink they couldn't erase. I picked up my phone, scrolled past Claire's messages, past Ethan's last sad attempt to resolve this civilly, found Sean's name again. I texted him one line. Start forming the shell for the next venture. New name, no ties. I didn't want to rebuild what I had. I wanted to build something different, something cleaner. This time, it'd have my name on the damn door from day one. Sean didn't waste time. By the next morning, he'd sent me the draft of the public statement. 2 paragraphs, sharp, clean, no spin. I read it twice, made one edit, then gave the green light. The press release went live across multiple outlets by noon. Adam Whitaker, co-founder and original financier of Claire Real Estate Holdings, has assumed full legal and operational control of the company. Effective immediately, all business operations are undergoing restructuring. Whitaker, who personally secured the initial investments and laid the legal and financial groundwork for the firm, issued this statement. I am reclaiming what I built. This isn't revenge. This is correction. I'm cutting ties with the version of the company that erased me and moving forward without the distortion. That was it. Nothing fancy, no backstory, no victim narrative, just facts. Within hours, it was everywhere. Business blogs, real estate news sites, local channels, Twitter threads dissecting the quote like it was scripture. Claire Real Estate no longer Claire's. Husband of real estate, mogul pulls power move. Co-founder emerges from the shadows and takes it all back. I didn't go on TV, didn't give interviews, I didn't need to. The narrative shifted on its own. Investors started asking questions. Clients reached out. The same people who once treated me like a nobody were now connecting dots. And Claire? She went silent for a day, then tried to post some damage control on her company's page, something vague about internal restructuring and collaborative transitions. The comments tore her apart. Didn't even know your husband co-founded this. Reclaiming what he built? Kinda badass. You really left him out of the whole narrative, huh? I didn't reply, just watched it from a distance, scrolling through headlines with my coffee in hand. It felt strange, seeing the truth finally surface after being buried for so long. Watching people realize that I wasn't some background assistant or quiet investor, but the architect behind the curtain. I felt a flicker of satisfaction, not pride, not vengeance. Just validation. Like the world finally saw what she tried so hard to erase. But even as the noise got louder, I knew it wasn't over. This wasn't the win. This was exposure. A flashlight in a dark room. Necessary, but not the endgame. I closed the laptop and sat back in my chair. She was scrambling now, trying to preserve what was left of her brand, spinning meetings, rewriting bios, maybe even begging old friends to stay on board. But the core had already cracked. I wasn't going to fix what she broke. I was going to start from scratch. Clean slate, clean name, clean team. Let her fight to stay relevant. I had better things to build. 2 days after the statement went live, I sat across from a 20-something kid named Bryce in a shared workspace in downtown LA. He was pitching me a modular housing startup, tight margins, aggressive timelines, way too much risk. I liked him immediately. He pulled out a folder of plans and projections like he was about to defend a thesis. I stopped him halfway through. "Don't try to impress me," I said. "Just tell me where you're stuck." He relaxed, and that's when the real conversation started. That was my rhythm for the next few days. Meeting with people who were hungry but green, scrappy founders, overworked side hustlers, people who reminded me of who I was before I became someone else's shadow. They didn't know about Claire, or Ethan, or the empire I'd just ripped apart. They just wanted help, and I gave it. I told them what no one told me: how to build a business without losing your name in the process, how to partner without getting swallowed, how to grow something sustainable without sacrificing your damn soul. On Thursday afternoon, a payment notification popped up on my phone. A small check, $5,000, from one of the ventures I'd advised that week. It was barely anything, but it had my name on it. No co-founder to hide behind. No one editing me out. That little deposit hit harder than any $1-million wire I'd watched pass through Claire's accounts. I looked around the new space. Bare walls, one desk, my laptop, no team, no noise, no fake smiles, just a room with potential. For once, there was nothing in the air but possibility. I opened my notebook, scribbled a name across the top of a blank page, something new, something mine. No branding consultants, no fake hype. Then I started writing out the kind of business I wanted to build, one rooted in transparency, one where every deal had my fingerprints on it, every decision traced back to me, not as a ghost, not as a backup, but as the builder. I wasn't chasing revenge anymore. I was chasing peace. And for the first time in a decade, it felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be, at the beginning. But this time, it wasn't for her. It was for me.